Hi folks, welcome to Crisco's Corner. Unfiltered commentary. Not your truth, the real truth. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your support. Welcome back. From Fox News, Washington University creates segregated housing specifically for black students. Western Washington University reserves the floor for its black affinity housing program. Now there's a big stink made on Twitter and TikTok concerning two guys that were sitting in the so-called black study area of a school. I forget where it was in the United States. And of course, everybody's got cell phones, so it was filmed. And they basically ran them both out, the two white guys. He said, listen, I'm this here studying. Because he had a back the police sticker on his laptop. Anyway, I'm going to read part of this, and I'm going to go through some stills and give you my point of view. The program will explore and celebrate the diversity of black and African American people and culture with historical and contemporary context. The program website reads, also saying that all Western students residing in the program help foster a warm and vibrant community supporting social, personal, and academic success. It was things very similar to this written by Democrats, I might add, in the South during the Jim Crow days. They made it sound like everybody was happy. Everybody was happy. And look it up here. Pitzer College removes test scores from admissions process to promote equity. Equity is quotas, folks. If you have 12% applicants that are non-white, of course you don't count Asians because they're white adjacent, and so are Hispanics. I don't know how that worked out, but anyway, then 12% of the students there have to be black as well, or non-white. And that, folks, is fascism. That is racism. That is Jim Crow in the modern era. And I'm going to show a few pictures here in a couple of seconds to show what these people are going back to. The controversial program segregating student housing based on race has been adopted at some other colleges, including the University of Colorado at Boulder, Stanford University, and Cornell, which is right down the road from me because I live in upstate New York. American University in Washington, D.C., the capital of this country, which, by the way, did have Jim Crow laws, announced would be offering black affinity housing after the conviction of Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd. Western Washington University did not respond to Fox's request for comment. Now, do you think? Now, let's take a good hard look, folks, at what they're defending. Let's take a look at what they're defending. First, I'm going to show a video of George Wallace. Now, I'm going to show this video here. This is a video what George Wallace said in the 1960s, I believe, when he was governor in Alabama. Democrat, all of them. All of them were Democrats. In fact, if you remember, Bill Clinton said when Robert Byrd died, who was Hillary Clinton's mentor, don't be too tough on Senator Byrd. When he was a member of the Ku Klux Klan, I guess he was a Grand Cyclops even, whatever the hell they call those idiots. Don't be too hard on Senator Byrd, because back then, the only way to move up through the Democrat Party in the South was to be a member of the Klan. Let that sink in just for a moment. Let that sink in. Now, here is George Wallace's speech, famous speech he gave concerning segregation. It got him national attention, and he became a top political figure in the Democrat Party.
Today, I have stood where once Jefferson Davis stood and took an oath to my people it is very appropriate that from this cradle of the Confederacy, this very heart of the great Anglo-Saxon Southland, that today we sound the drum for freedom, as have our generation of forebears before us done time and again down through history. Let us rise to the call of freedom-loving blood that is in us and send our answer to the tyranny that clanks its chains upon the South. In the name of the greatest people that have ever trod this earth, I draw the line in the dust and toss the gauntlet before the feet of tyranny, and I say segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
And there you have it, folks. George Wallace. Now let's take a look at what they're defending. Here's some photographs of the old Jim Crow days. Make no mistake, having separate living quarters in colleges is just the first step. Having separate study groups just for non-whites is just the first step. There's a nice looking family there. Mother, father, couple of boys. Now, I wonder what those boys would think now if they're still alive. They probably are. That looks like probably late 50s, early 60s. I was born in 56 and I'm 64. So I'm sure they're still alive. I wonder what they would think. Look at this. White only. Public swimming pool. How do you think the black people felt? How do you think the black kids felt? It's hotter than hell in the South. Find a decent pool to have fun in, cool off, do some socializing with the other kids. How do you think they felt? And how do you think their ghosts even and their spirits and their souls or their descendants, that now you're spitting in their face by demanding segregation? I have to say, it is one of the most amazing miracles of all time that the Progressive Democrat Party, the party of Jim Crow, has now convinced non-white people in this country, and many of them, I should say, not all, but many of them, that they should separate. Shame on them. This is what they want? Colored drinking fountain, white only swimming pool. This is what they want? Presence of segregation is the absence of democracy. Jim Crow must go. That is correct. And look, the federal agents there escorting this little girl to school. All these people fought, and they fought hard. Many of them gave their lives. Many came from the North. Church groups, Catholic, Protestant, and everything in between. Rabbis all worked together to stop racism and segregation. And this is in my lifetime. This isn't a million years ago. We have come a tremendous way. And these progressive Democrats want to go back to separating people so they can control them. Here's another one. Freedom does not include segregation. What do you think if any of these people were alive today? What they would think? They would be outraged. Outraged. We want white tenants in our white community. I wonder if he had a son that says we want black tenants in our black community. What's the difference? The answer is nothing. Shame on you. Shame on you. We have come such a long ways from those days. In my lifetime, I might add. Shame on you. No colored allowed by order of the manager, Broadway Theater, Knoxville, Tennessee. Looks like in the 1920s. How do you think people felt when they went by those signs and they were in the South? And even the North. Let's tell the truth here. Discrimination and racism was everywhere, no matter what color. And the hotels in Chicago years ago used to have signs, no Irish or dogs allowed. So people's inert racism and prejudice knows no color bound. And it was Harry Truman, probably the last Democrat president that I had any admiration for at all. He was the one that took discrimination and segregation in the military and ended it by executive order. He was considered an outcast. Considered an outcast. And Dwight Eisenhower, right after him, ordered the troops down to enforce the Supreme Court ruling. Can you see President Biden sending troops in to support a Supreme Court ruling? He just ignores them. How about the rent moratorium? He just said, I'll do it anyway. Too bad. That's when to have respect for our government and our Constitution. Jim Crow must go in Brooklyn. But now it's happening in many parts of Brooklyn and many cities in this United States. Jim Crow is replaced with something else. They'll call it some fancy word, some equity building and morale building and cultural building area where non-white people can come together and blah, 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 blah. I heard an expression years ago. You paint a turd white, it's still a turd. It's disgusting. About the Rex Theater for colored people. They had somewhere to go. It's ridiculous and it's wrong. Shame on them. Negro arrested for violating Jim Crow law. Shame on them. Let's go back and review. It's disgusting and it's disturbing. So what do we get? We get this today. Washington University creates segregated housing specifically for black students. We're going backwards, folks. And not only are they doing it, they're doing it with thunderous applause and the admiration and support of millions of progressive Democrats. How far we have sunk. Shame on them. What are we going to do about it? Just watch? Just watch until we're all separated so beautifully with barriers and buildings and walls that the states start to separate from the United States and it's chaos and localized skirmishes and civil war. This is what's coming. It's amazing to me how they can go back, how people learn so little from history. My God, my God. Well, I'm not a young man, and maybe that's a good thing, so I don't have to see what's coming. And until next time, goodbye and good luck.